I'm not ready. That was the voice that followed me on stage the first time I tried stand-up comedy. The intro music of all songs was Eminem's "You Only Get One Shot." I could feel hot, bright stage lights looking over top of a microphone into a dark audience, feeling every eye focused on me. My stomach turning like a cement truck. I tasted my mouth like I'd been sucking on a lead pipe, knees shaking, palms sweating. I couldn't remember feeling more vulnerable. If you know this feeling I speak of, please say "I." If you would have been with me in 1988, you would have seen a 16-year-old with jerry curls and braces, whose dream it was to be like the coolest man on the planet at that time, Eddie Murphy. You ever have something you're going to do one of these days in your life, a self-actualized you that wants to live what you dream about? For years, something as simple as channel surfing could bring my spirits down anytime I saw a comedian on TV doing what I feared. I would not go to my grave without conquering that fear. Years later, I signed up for a course with stand-up comedy. And here's what I learned. It's hard. When you step outside your comfort zone, you can hear the voice of limiting belief. Am I really good enough? Do I have what it takes? How am I going to look if I mess this up? It's like weathering a storm. See, most people, most animals will run for cover when a storm comes. But the eagle is the only bird that will spread its wings and fly into the storm, using the winds, using the currents to soar to even greater heights. If you can learn something from the eagle, please say "I." You might remember a great fighter who was told in a critical boxing match it wasn't possible for him to win. This was his response. "Sonny Liston, you ain't no champ. You a chump. I float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Whoa, rumble, young man, rumble. Sonny Liston knows I'm great, and he will fall in 8. I'm going to give Sonny Liston boxing lessons, talking lessons, and falling down lessons." Muhammad Ali, he wasn't talking to you. He was talking to himself, seeing the greatness inside. He was silencing that voice of limitation. If you could learn something from Muhammad Ali, please say "I." So there I was, vulnerable, fear, doubt, anxiety, 2 decades of being haunted by this dream, and now it all came down to the next 5 minutes. I fired out my first joke. Silence. I gave them my next joke. More silence. Thank God I was wearing a diaper. Looking all the way to the back of the room, in between the beaming lights, I could see the shadow of my comedy coach standing there. And in the deafening silence, I could hear just his voice saying something I remembered from class that has stuck with me ever since. It's true for the eagle, it was true for Muhammad Ali, and it was true for me in this terrifying moment. Here's what he said. Anything worth succeeding at is worth being vulnerable. Anything worth succeeding at is worth being vulnerable. I went off script. I looked into the eyes of the audience and I asked them, "Am I in the right room?" And that's when they laughed. So I fired another joke and then another, and they were laughing. 4 minutes and 37 seconds later, I walked off that stage, 10 feet taller than when I came on. My mother jumped up and said, "Look, my son, he's still growing." When you take action against your fears, that's when the growth happens. What dream, what vision, what breakthrough could you have that would cause you to feel as though you were 10 feet tall if you could just push past that feeling? A vision, anything. It could be to get on the Speaker Slam stage. Maybe you just moved to Toronto and you want to get to know people, to reach out there. Whatever it is, you put yourself out there, you feel vulnerable. A common ingredient in anyone's success, is not being afraid to fail. When you are connected to your purpose, surrounded by people who are on the same mission as you, and committed to taking the steps, there is no failure, only succeeding or learning. Can I offer you a gift? 3 steps that you can take to diminish fear and failure and move faster toward your goals. Are you ready for the process? Yes. Are you ready for the process? Yes. Number 1, decide whatever you want to succeed at really is worth being vulnerable. 2, get a mentor. Make sure it's not just anyone, but someone who has success in the area that you want. And 3, be vulnerable. Anything worth succeeding at is worth being what? Vulnerable. Thank you.